no Cinderella story here. Joe, Fearless Joe is a good story.
Okay, so you said this in the group text. You said like, not a big deal. There's hundreds of them in the. No,
don't throw me under the bus here.
I'm totally throwing you under the bus because I'm going to fight you on this because this is big. I'm doing research on past, Bills UDFAs who made the team, and I don't even know how many of these guys were tryout guys because they probably just went undrafted, got signed right after the draft. But this is huge. And this guy grew up in Buffalo, and we're like, oh shoot, decimated at linebacker again. Matt Milano out till at least December. At least Balin Spector can never stay healthy, and he's the kind of depth linebacker that we kind of need at this point. And all of a sudden, here comes Joe Andreessen, and he has the preseason game of his life. And I know, like, grain of salt, we've watched Nathan Peterman have the game of his life, but he looks like he belongs out there. Yeah. He's not the wrong size for the position. He's got all the traits. He's fast. He seemed to be so disciplined as well. He's making open field tackles against not nobodies. This is like Justin Fields.
There's somebody. Najee Harris. It's Najee Harris. Like, I hate both of them. I don't know.
Well, still, but like, I don't know. I want to give him credit. I don't want to totally overreact, but like, I'm not saying this is already the best Bills preseason storyline of all time. I'm just saying, like, there's a possibility, and it could be. And I know we said this before, but like this feels different than the Andy Isabellas. This feels different.
Hey, his story's not done.
I know, but you know what I mean. It's not Duke Williams, right? Yeah, this is not right. This is not Brandon Riley. Insert drought player here who we thought was going to make the
Christian
make the
Wade.
Difference on the run. Christian Wade, and Christian
He's the
Wade,
all-time story. He's the number one story.
I think he is. Yeah, but
Two
when
touches
you look at
for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that's like the best. Well, that was probably the best preseason game I ever saw.
Just one touchdown. He almost made it to the end zone on the second.
He got tackled on the second.
He got tackled right before the end zone. It was really close.
We should give it to him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just winded after that play. Maybe he needed the oxygen a little bit. But
so I have a couple things about this Fearless Joe Andreessen. So first thing,
Buffalo Joe.
Buffalo Joe.
Fearless Joe.
I like Fearless Joe.
Are you trying to rebrand Buffalo Joe already?
Fearless Joe is a headline from Sports Illustrated. Ralph did an article, and that was
all right. That's fair.
So just once, just humor me one time, Buffalo Bills, by having a plan that does not involve bringing a player off the freaking street that has no credentials, that didn't play anything exciting. I mean, whatever, he played. So, but like AJ Klein comes off the beach to play linebacker. You get an undrafted free agent from Lancaster to play linebacker. I'm like, well, why is that our options? Like, why is that our only options? That's my only stick with the whole thing, is that we're so barren. Our depth is so limited again that we're pulling people off the streets that played at Lancaster, New York. I don't know. I'm hating. I'm hating right now.
I think that's the injury bug, though. Like, that's 100% the injury bug. Like, if you're walking into the season with,
you got to figure it out.
I think that they've had the luxury, not the luxury, but like, I don't know, the fact that Joe Andreessen got to play in this preseason game as much as he did because of the injuries, like maybe that's how they learned what they have in him, you know, like maybe that's what it takes. Like sometimes these guys play different when the lights come on compared to in practice and stuff like this. And Joe Andreessen was like, I'm Rudy out here for that entire game. Rudy. Yeah, he's a lot bigger than Rudy.
So here's my overarching point with this is I think it's cool. All right, it is cool. I think there's 100 undrafted free agents in the preseason right now that probably half of them have flashed. That does not mean they're going to stay. It does not mean they're going to flash forever. The batteries die on a flashlight.
12 tackles flashed.
No, I agree. But I think that having this player be successful, I'm not trying to take away anything from him because it takes a good player to take good coaching on defense. And this is going to be an overarching part for this whole season because Sean McDermott is here to earn his money this year. This is the whole point of having a defensive coach as your head coach, to be able to rally somebody who came out of Lancaster High School to play in an NFL game and make 12 tackles. This is where you get Christian Benford to play well. This is where you have DeMar Hamlin to play well, and Mike Edwards, and all of these guys that are not marquee players. Matt Milano, fourth or fifth round pick. All of these guys that have come in and made an impact as a part of a puzzle on defense is a credit to McDermott as a coach, I think. So he needs this for him to really get his shine back, I think, because he's, the luster might be faded a bit with the playoff losses, but your back's against the wall with your defense right now, buddy. So you don't have Greg Rousseau, outstanding game. Also super excited to see him break out this year if that's possible. But you got Vaughn and you got Benford and Douglas. So I want to see McDermott's masterclass season. So my next question for you, John, you have Fearless Joe. He steps in. Bobby Babich is part of that too, probably.
I was just going to say, I didn't want to cut you off, but this is a Bobby Babich tweet.
Yeah. So here's my, last question for you, John.
Sure.
With the injuries, we got to see something from McDermott here. Do you think over under top 12 defense in the NFL this year?
Well, under being
better or worse? Yeah. Over
better.
Top 12 means better, into the top 10. Under.
Okay. Sorry. I didn't know if you
it's like turning the AC up or
12.
down. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. I'm still going to go top 12 defense because
12?
Top 12, yeah.
Would you be happy with
12th would be my expectation. Anything above that, I'd be happy. Anything below that, I'd be disappointed. And, these games might be tighter than they usually are when the Bills win. Their average margin of victory when they do win is usually up there. It might be, squeaking out a couple more wins along the way. But also an important note when it comes to Joe Andreessen, as he was playing the Mike linebacker position, which if you're rooting for him to start alongside Terrell Bernard, which obviously is a little bit of a long shot, that's the will linebacker position that Matt Milano plays weak side. So that's
what
we're
Will
probably
means is weak, like Will
Yes.
and weak. Okay, why do they call it Will? I don't know.
And Mike and Will, so they're buddies. So you're gonna have Dorian Williams most likely filling in that spot, but I don't know. I mean, Dorian Williams has a lot of really good traits. He's physical. He's very good at recognizing run plays, stuffing run plays, getting to his gap, moving forward. But when it comes to the backpedaling stuff like that, he's not as good in coverage as a Matt Milano, which who is it? But so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that progresses along. I know that McDermott has kind of talked about this before, where they don't want to put too much on guys' plates. Like those positions are very different when you're talking about the signal caller in the middle of the defense versus the will linebacker. So they kind of overloaded Dorian Williams by switching him back and forth a couple times. Even Terrell Bernard, before he was the starting middle linebacker, they put a lot on his plate and then kind of said maybe we shouldn't have done that. So it'll be interesting to see if they want Joe Andreessen to maybe be the heir apparent in that position mid-season or something like that. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself because it's not even a guarantee that he'll make the roster, but I would be shocked if he didn't at this point.
He could be a practice squad player, I think.
Do you think he makes it to the practice squad? Because you got to clear waivers to get on that practice squad.
Well, I said it earlier in our group chat. There's 100 other undrafted free agents.
There are not 100 other
Let's search it right now.
undrafted free agents.
Let's find it.
Brandon, are you telling me that there's 3 guys per team who have flashed as much as he has? Who are the other 2 on the Bills? Let's start with that. Who are the other 2 undrafted free agents that you think have a shot to make the roster at this point? Jake Browning's gone.
All right.
3 per team, and that's just average. That's just average.
All right. So you know what it is giving me vibes of though? Mark Wahlberg with the Eagles, Invincible. Dude walks on.
I have not seen them.
You haven't seen that movie? Oh, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. The guy, they're holding open tryouts.
I do like some classy Marky Mark. Or classic Marky Mark, but
it's Vince Papali, and he's 30, and he walks on as a 30-year-old, and maybe he starts at special teams and turns into a wide receiver. He starts as a gunner. It's a good movie. It's on Schmetflick, maybe one of those.
No, you're thinking of The Rookie, the guy who walks on at 30.
No, that's a great one.
I'm kidding. Yeah. No, I like that movie. I had it on VHS as a kid.
Yeah,
anyway, so obviously Joe Andreessen would have to do a lot in his Bills career to become the best undrafted free agent to be, come to the Bills and then grow their career. I think there's a lot. I do have a list. So I actually stole this list. So credit to Ronnie Eastman from Buffalo Down, former Buffalo Rumblings guy, wrote an article on this in June, talking about undrafted free agents that might make the roster. So shout out to him for being ahead of the curve. But I just wrote down some notable guys. He had a couple guys down there from the 60s that I didn't write down because I didn't know who they were. And obviously it's kind of hard to compare the undrafted free agent market of the 1960s and the modern era of football. So anyway, I have have Levi Wallace down. Obviously, ended up contributing quite a bit. He came in as an undrafted free agent rookie. Fred Jackson, obviously,
the man
coming out of D2 or D3 or whatever it was. Was it D3? It might have been D3.
I think it was D3. Yeah, co-college.
Co-college. That's right. Yeah. That's the one thing you need to know at Buffalo Trivia every time.
Yeah.
And then Jason Peters and Kent Hall. Jason Peters is probably you could make a case for him at the top of the list as well.
He 100%. He might be one of the best left tackles ever.
Right. And the reason why he was undrafted was because he was a tight end when he was coming into the league. So obviously converts to tackle and becomes, Hall of Famer. So anyway, obviously that's a tough mountain to climb and we're getting way ahead of ourselves with Joe Andreessen, but what I saw made me excited. He didn't make any mental mistakes that I could see. He looked confident. He was making the right choice. He was breaking down and tackling. He wasn't over pursuing like you see young guys do. And he's got the build. His RAS score is like huge, through the roof. Yep. So this is not like a Rudy where we're like, oh, maybe he can do it. It's like he's got the skills. He very closely fits the prototype Bills linebacker these days, which is small, not small, but like 6'1", 6'2".
That's small.
230 pounds and can run and is fast. So
I have a stat for you here about him. 12 tackles, which was a game high number. 2 tackles ended drives for the Steelers, and 5 of his hits were gains of 3 yards or less. So half of his tackles impacted the game positively, more than just a regular old 4-yard tackle. So,
well, I mean, I'm not somebody who goes back and watches the All-22, but you follow all the guys who do, and it looked as good on the All-22 as it did live. I don't think we were overreacting whatsoever. So a lot of good stuff there.
Well, I hope he's enjoying his week right now.
I'm sure he is. Let's hope he enjoys his Bills career.
Yeah. That might be this week, but I'm hoping it's more than just this week.